together, you and I, rise together hand in hand. Come, we will rise together, heads held high. We will reach the promised land. Come, my friend, I see a brighter day, where freedom rings for everyone. Come along and we will find a way to justice rising like the sun. We will sing together, you and I, sing together hand in hand. Come, we will sing together, heads held high. We will reach the promised land. Come, my friend, I see a brighter day, where freedom rings for everyone. Come along and we will find a way to justice rising like the sun. We will dance together, you and I, dance together hand in hand. Come, we will dance together, heads held high. We will reach the promised land. Come, my friend, I see a brighter day, where freedom rings for everyone. Come along and we will find a way to justice rising like the sun. We will shout together, you and I, shout together hand in hand. Come, we will shout together, heads held high. We will reach the promised land. Come, my friend, I see a brighter day, where freedom rings for everyone. Come along and we will find a way to justice rising like the sun. To justice rising like the sun.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this early and rather warm Sunday evening. Welcome to the live and in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning is number 131, Love Will Guide Us, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing number 131, Love Will Guide Us. No? Wrong one? Oh, wrong one. It's Morning Has Broken. We all know that one. I don't know what number it is. 38.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rains do fall, solid from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, strong in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, evening's soft play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, We will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Steve Fuji, former member of the Board of Trustees as of last month, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the worship committee who make this service possible include Alec Peck, our music coordinator, Adam Wedeking, who monitors our visual and online connections, Kate Lewicki, who is in charge of our sound system and creates the slides, and Grace, who edits the scripts and does a whole bunch of more other stuff too. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronics, please. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together we affirm this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new week. Before we move into the service, there are a few announcements we would like to share. As always, we'll mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it is also available on our website. Members and friends enjoyed a 4th of July potluck barbecue on Friday. Many thanks go out to Grill Master Robert Braun, Kate Lewicki, and Avery Burrows' team of volunteers, and all who attended and contributed to this event. Please note that our services will begin 1 hour earlier during the summer months of July and August. Once again, services will begin at 9 a.m. from July 6th through August 31st. Of course, you're not the ones who need that reminder because you're here. Spread the word to anybody else you see. First Sunday lunches will not be held during July and August, and we will resume in September. Church Council meets on the first Wednesday of the month in the annex. The next meeting will be at 5:30 p.m. on August 6th. The monthly Peace Circle talks are informative and supportive discussions about current events that relate to UU values. It'll be held today at 11 a.m. in the parish hall. All are invited to attend and participate in the Q&A session led on Zoom by our friend Lee Greer, and former president as well. Book Club usually meets on the second Monday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Please note that we will be taking a summer break during July and August. The meetings will resume on September 8th. If you wish to get a head start, the book under discussion is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Are there any other announcements? Okay. So our time together is brief, but it is filled with joy. In that spirit, I invite you to turn to those around you, greet them, welcome them, and share that joy. For those on Zoom, you can use the Zoom wave gesture or just wave at your camera. Welcome to all our visitors today, and welcome back to our old friends. We would love to meet you during coffee hour in the parish hall after the service, where you can also find our visitors book. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you are here, and leave your contact information if you want updates on church events. There will also be a short discussion after the church to share your reflection with us. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. And now, I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. You're welcome to read with me the covenant of our church. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and live in harmony with all the living creatures and plants of the earth, this we do affirm. Today's sermon, entitled Waiting in the Garden, was written by Scott M. Alexander. Reverend Scott Alexander is a third-generation Unitarian Universalist, has a Master of Divinity from Starr King School for Ministry, and an undergraduate degree from Lawrence University. He has 48 years of experience in the UU ministry since being ordained at the First Church of Maine in 1974, where he began his ministry. Reverend Alexander travels widely within the Unitarian Universalist denomination, speaking, preaching, and offering in-depth workshops on a variety of congregational and faith-related subjects. Over the last 15 years, Reverend Alexander has completed 5 coast-to-coast, which took 30 days, 120 miles a day, charity bike rides to support local nonprofit agencies working to end poverty and hunger. The way we choose to live and the depth of our feelings, our ability to love and be loved, and to take in all the colors of the world around us determine the worth and true extent of the time we are given in our lives. We all know that to live is to experience a range of both blessings and tragedies. In today's service, we'll focus on how we can give the simple gift of ourselves to comfort those who may be suffering or dying. We have 2 lightings of the sacred flames. Okay, there you are. The first is a remembrance candle for the indigenous people who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We remember that underneath us is the unceded land of several indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Lusania, and the Cupeño tribes, and we light this sacred flame in their remembrance and in recognition of their ongoing struggle for freedom and dignity. Our second sacred flame is our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We are blessed with this space, an opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's chalice lighting words are "Let There Be Light" by Andrew Pakula. Let there be light, the light of joy, the light of happiness, and the light of contentment. May it illuminate our paths and fill our lives with peace, and let there be dark, for it is from our dark places that we are brought forward, tried and tested, and impelled toward growth. It is in these places that we realize compassion and learn to love. And there was a day, and there was night, and there was joy, and there was sorrow, and it was good. It is said that shared joy is double joy, shared sorrow is half sorrow. I don't know who said that, but somebody important, I'm sure. So, on the first Sunday of each month, we share the joys and concerns that we have received from you and which you have collected through the month. First, I'm going to read the joys and concerns which were given to us. Joy, a 3-day weekend. Okay, share hilarious conversations with good friends. Concern, the ongoing conflicts and injustices in our country and the world. And do we have anyone else? If there's anyone else in the sanctuary who would like to speak their joy or concern, please raise your hand and we will invite you to speak here at the microphone. Oh, Bill.
A batch of things, minor, major. As far as the state of the world goes, as always, I'll pray for the first responders anywhere. Texas is going through some changes right now. They could use all the help they could get. Likewise, we need to work on figuring out a way to fund those people, since the existing budget appears to hurt them rather badly. So that's something to work on in the future. As far as locally, I don't know whether it's joy or concern I should be looking with, but there's a highly mechanized system for doing laundry at our house, and I think I managed to screw something up, and I'll probably have to start over again on that. It's one of those annoying little things where the universe reminds you that you're not technologically adept. It's my concern, it's a cheap laugh for other people. And other than that, just basically look at the mechanisms behind how we take care of the things and the people we love, and to first we have this big slamming force from outside in the form of the government hitting something. And then the next thing to do is on a local level, working on how to rebuild things so that we can still do what we should be doing.
Bill, I want to stay up here for the, okay. Any more joys or concerns?
This morning on the ABC News program, Larry Summers was on there, not at all happy with the big, beautiful bill. He's not exactly someone I remember as being a liberal, so if he's worried about it, hey, we all should be concerned.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, thank you, Walt. Okay, well, we place a stone on our water chalice to represent the joys and concerns we have shared with our church community and in recognition of those we hold close and have not shared. May we remember those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. One more thing.
Our dear friend Dinah will be making Missouri happy and California sad as she gets ready to move sometime soon. I wanted to end on a positive note anyway. It's been a joy to have known her, and Missouri is definitely ahead on points right now.
Thank you, Bill.
Modeled stone for our sorrows and things we keep in, for the light of what we share, and for the mixture that all which is happens often in life.
Thank you, Bill. Our hymn now is number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, from the Teal Hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing number 1007 or 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. next portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You can contribute by PayPal using the QR code which is shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives the church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which we will have in the church each Sunday. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Robert Braun in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate if the Spirit moves you or by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. To those who give their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who have joined us here today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? A tote bag will also be passed around to collect food and hygiene items for our local community. There's also a barrel out there for contributions at any time for CURE, the Concerned Youth of Riverside. Our next hymn is number 402, From You I Receive, from the Great Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing number 402, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Our meditation today is by Kendall Gibbons. In the beginning, silence. In the beginning, wonder. In the beginning, beauty. In the beginning, death. Holy the mystery, holy the journey, holy the hour of prayer. Blessed and merciful, blessed and generous, sacred as simple air, summoning duty, touch of compassion, keeper of song and flame, struggle and silence, praise and thanksgiving. Truth beyond every name, in the beginning, on the horizon, life. Now, let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Didn't sound as good as when you did it. Now I'd like to introduce Myrie Moores reading the sermon Waiting in the Garden by Scott W. Alexander. This is a pre-written sermon taken from the UUA website.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear me, so you must be able to. I didn't get a chance to memorize it, so I'm going to be looking at the paper most of the time. But this was one that spoke to me because of things that my family has been going through for the last year and many things that I've experienced in my career and life. So this morning, I want us to grapple with one of the most universal and troubling facts of human existence. Though every last one of us would have it otherwise, it is an unavoidable reality that during our lifetimes, people close to us will become sick, suffer great pain, and in some cases die. It seems crucial that we be unafraid here in this religious community in acknowledging the tragic dimensions of life, for surely there is no one here in this room this morning who can reasonably expect to escape the agony of watching other human beings for whom we can love and care go through pain and death. Ours is a profoundly mortal creation, and though we often live our lives as though it is otherwise, the truth is that to live is to suffer the vulnerabilities and vicissitudes of the flesh. So if we are to live out our years with wisdom, compassion, and health, it seems essential that we prepare ourselves psychologically and spiritually for those inevitable times when we will be asked to share life with those for whom life is painfully slipping away. Thank you. Surely such times are amongst life's most difficult. One of the toughest things any one of us can face is the helplessness and anxiety we feel when we are obligated to watch someone dear to us suffer. It's almost worse, I think, than suffering the same infirmity yourself. I doubt that there is any human being alive who does not feel profound discomfort, anger, and angst watching a loved one endure disease, pain, or death. I have never met anyone who did not find dealing with human tragedy close at hand a heart-wrenching and disquieting thing. No matter how many times I am invited as a minister to share in the tragedies of others, I know and pray that I shall never develop an immunity to the hurt my own heart feels when I must stand by and witness the suffering of others. No matter how wise or brave or worldly we might be, we all face a real crisis when life demands that we be near the suffering of others. When a family member, neighbor, or dear friend must battle disease, debilitation, or death, we never know quite how to handle ourselves. Even the most adept of us never know quite what to do, what to say, how to help. We tend to feel terribly awkward and inadequate. We quite naturally want so intensely to make it all better, to take the pain away or the problem, to find a solution, speed a recovery, engineer a miracle, even when such things are not possible. The greatest human tragedies occur, in my experience, not when a trouble strikes our loved one, but rather when our feelings of anxiety, helplessness, and discomfort with their pain causes us, unconsciously and knowingly, of course, to flee the situation, to avoid the person or deny the reality of what is happening. If a decade in the ministry has taught me anything, it has taught me this. When illness and pain strike, the most important medicine is other persons, other ordinary human beings who stay close and caring no matter what. And I believe that if we spiritually challenge ourselves to think and feel about just how we can and should be with others in the midst of their tragedies, we can actually learn how to become much more helpfully human in such difficult times. For I believe with all my heart and soul that there is a way to be with hurting human beings that can make a real positive, healing, and redeeming difference. And the curious thing is that this redemptive way is so close at hand that we often lose sight of it. The reading was the familiar story of the Garden of Gethsemane, when Jesus, knowing in his heart that he faces almost certain death the next day at the hands of the Roman authorities, goes to that beautiful place to relieve some of his suffering and pain through prayer. His is a very private crisis of the soul, but the key to the story, it seems to me, is that he does not go to the garden alone. He has 3 of his beloved friends, Peter, James, and John, to attend him. In the part of the story I find most significant, Jesus, troubled and tormented as he is, asks only one simple thing of his dear companions. "Sit here while I pray," he implores. "Remain here and watch." He does not ask them to spirit him away from the danger or wrestle with God for him, or offer him theological comfort or suggest some political solution for dealing with plot, or even to go the next day and be crucified for him. He only asks that they stay awake, that they stand the night watch with him, remaining attentive to his pain and sorrow. And the story tells us how Peter and James and John sadly fail their friend Jesus, for they fall asleep on him, not once, but 3 times. Out of their own fear or exhaustion or selfishness or indifference, we must suppose they are unable to simply stay awake in the hour of deep need. And Jesus' pain is magnified many times by the aloneness he feels in the midst of his friends. By the shadow of negative example, the story speaks with a powerful clarity as to just how we must strive with view of loved ones who are in profound personal pain. For in fact, all that is usually requested and required of us, all that should be asked of us, is to stay awake when persons near us are swept into suffering. Our human job is to stand faithfully the night watch, not to fall asleep and absolutely refuse to abandon the one who hurts. I have been in the garden, have you? The night my father died 3 years ago was a night of my own Gethsemane of the heart. At 2:30 a.m. I was awakened with word of my beloved father's sudden death, and what saved me in that night of grief and pain was simply a friend, my best friend in fact, who drove 10 miles to be with me. My friend got out of bed to stand the long night watch, to listen to my repetitious ramblings, to permit my tears, to hold me against the winter of my grief, to stay awake, by God, simply awake. It was mostly a silent vigil he stood, for in my hour of grief I did not particularly want the wisdom of the St. Teresa from my friend, nor any theological comfort he might have, nor any nuggets of sage advice, nor even someone to take firm control. All I wanted was another human being to protect me from the cold, to make sure that I was not alone in the empty caverns of my pain. If there is a purer or more redeeming kind of love, I don't know it. Do you all know of what I speak? Haven't most of you had the experience of learning, in some dark night of your own body or soul, that it is the gentle, faithful presence of another ordinary human being which best answers, softens, and heals the pain? Yes, it is a simple yet divine grace of another person's caring presence which has the spectacular power to save us from our deepest suffering. And yet there is something about this strikingly simple reality which we Americans distrust, isn't there? Sometimes it feels inadequate. It seems as if it couldn't possibly be enough. We live in an impatient, fix-it society and have been indoctrinated since birth to believe that if we just bring the right technical and intellectual resources to bear, we can, when faced with a human problem, make everything right and put an end to all the unpleasantness. As a result, then, we are not naturally comfortable with the idea that presence, rather than the product, is what saves the situation. We find it hard to believe that just to be is the solution. We are disinclined to trust that the gift of ourselves is enough, and this insecurity leads us so often in the presence of tragedy to try to rescue others from their suffering. We foolishly think we must offer up concrete technical advice, theological nuggets, or philosophical chestnuts, all sorts of unnecessary verbiage and unhelpful fussing that gets in the way of the simple human caring that really needs to occur. Can someone tell me why so many ministers and others feel it necessary in the presence of death, suffering, and tragedy to open their mouths and spill forth neatly packaged one-liners that are supposed to comfort those afflicted? If there is one thing I wish to disabuse you of more than any other this morning, it is the American idiocy that in times of crisis, what people want are bumper sticker slogans to make them feel better. And I don't add that American aspect to it. Last week, after the heinous murder of 2 children in Plainfield, the minister who conducted their funeral actually had the temerity or is it just plain spiritual stupidity, to suggest to the grieving family that God had allowed these murders to save these children from some horrible disease later in life. In the face of the awesome and often confounding mysteries of birth and death, life and suffering, we are best to hold our tongues when in doubt of what to say that might comfort. Why can't we trust the value of caring silence shared with those who are hurting? Believe me, when someone you love is swept up into tragedy, your faithful presence speaks with an eloquence no words can possess. The mere fact of your staying in the garden of their pain with them says that your concern and love are deep and real. Your refusal to disappear says to the suffering, as nothing else can, that their creation remains a place of love, grace, and hope. Without uttering one word, we can help the ones who hurt to know that their world continues, in a cosmological sense, to be grace-filled and nurturing place. It lets them know, if I may wax theological for just a moment, that the Holy Spirit of life is alive and well and able to touch them. So rather than speak with your lips, speak with your presence. Let your eyes, your hands, your silence, your faithfulness tell the story. These are the enduring answers to suffering and pain which remain to bless long after the hollow ring of bumper sticker slogans have faded into the oblivion where they belong. Why is it, dear friends, that we Americans have such a dreadfully difficult time understanding that hurting human beings are not asking us to be gods, saviors, magicians, physicians, and wizards? When will we begin to believe that the only credential we need to be humanely with those who are suffering or dying is a credential of an open and gentle heart? Many of you have shared with me in private conversations that sometimes, when someone you love is hurting, you have found yourselves staying away simply because of the discomfort of not knowing precisely what to say or do. Well, I will tell you now what I always say in such a situation. For God's sake, don't say anything or do anything at first, just go. Simply get up and go. You may say the wrong thing. It's easy to put your foot in your mouth when someone is dying or suffering, but you must nonetheless trust that grace and holiness and power of your simple human presence and touch is more transforming and healing than you can ever imagine. Why do we human beings have such terrible theological self-esteem? Why are we in the habit of doubting that the highest power in the universe speaks so well through our fundamental humanness? There is an old Eastern legend which tells us that the gods became jealous of humanity, and they were fearful that the gift of divinity would be stolen from them, so they had a council. And some said, "Let us place our gift in the skies." Others said, "No, they'll search the skies, they'll even fly." And others said, "Let us put our gift in the divinity in the depth of the ocean." And the reply was, "No. They will plumb the depths of the ocean. Someday they will be on the floor of the seas, and they will find the gift." And the wisest of the gods said, "Let us hide divinity within them. That is the last place they will look." Yes, dear friends, the last place we look for the gift of divinity is the last place we expect to find the highest and most healing powers of the creation, is within ourselves, within our ordinary human hearts beating in simple compassion, gentleness, and love. Why can't we believe that within us lie some of the most precious powers of creation, powers capable of blessing, healing, even saving other persons? Why do we think we need something more, something else? The process theologians say that God is a verb, a dynamic process that happens whenever we simply love and care for one another. And Jewish theologian Martin Buber spoke of the I-thou encounter, the human meeting when the truly divine powers of the creation come to life along the mysterious arc of significant, caring person-to-person encounter. What I believe, because I have seen it time and time again, is that God, whatever we mean by that lovely simple word, steals up on gentle feet whenever we are brave and loving enough to keep the night watch in someone else's midnight of pain. The highest and holiest beauty of the universe comes into being when we simply stay awake for one another. Let me tell you of a recent experience I had which reminded me of a lovely clarity that all time is so. I was invited by a family of this church to the nursing home bedside of a man they love, a husband and father whose life was rapidly slipping away beneath the body-crushing boot of Alzheimer's disease. As his wife said later to me over the phone, "Scott, I feel like I'm losing my best friend, and it's so hard." On the day I went to the convalescent center with the man's wife and son, we were unable to rouse this once brilliant scientist from his partial coma. No verbal or cognitive relationship was possible, and so his wife, without as much of a conscious thought as I am sure, expressed her love and devotion the only way she could. She reached over to the bedside drawer, took out his battered old hairbrush, and began gently stroking his gray and matted hair. With total attentiveness and care, she stroked his hair again and again as though the whole world depended on each stroke. As she did her loving work, I found myself wanting to look away, not because it was sad or unpleasant or depressing, and not because I was afraid to see people die or suffer. I wanted to look away because I was embarrassed to share in so intimate and so perfect a moment of love. Had it not been for the professional defenses I have long since erected to protect me against such pure and holy moments, I would have wept merely at witnessing the beauty and fidelity of her love. I guess I felt what Surgeon Richard Seltzer wrote in his book Mortal Lessons after he witnessed a simple moment of human devotion. I lowered my gaze, the doctor writes. One is not bold in an encounter with God. I remember that the gods appeared in ancient Greece as mortals, and I hold my breath and let the wonder in. I like the way my friend and colleague Edward Frost of Princeton put it. We have heard that God is all the goodness, all the sweetness and light and joy in the morning, but God is the cries we do not hear, the depths of hell the other suffers, the darkness and confusion of the permanent night. God may be the chaos, mist in our neatness and order, who shuns the glistening temple to walk the gray repositories of twisted and divided souls. To seek such a God is to seek discomfort, to walk in another's broken shoes, through the eyes of an inner storm, and be bent, broken with him. God is the one who cries, "Know me," through the mouths of those we choose not to know. We have heard that God is love, but God is the demand to love, a demand unheeded, thus a God undiscovered. Press through this grown-over path to another's loneliness, and there, with him, the pain and the bearer of pain is God. May Sarton said it a bit differently in her poem about her own mother's death entitled A Hard Death. Listen. God's grace given freely we do not deserve, but we can choose at least to see its ghost on every face. Oh, we can wish to serve each other gently as we live, though lost. We cannot be saved, but we can stand before each presence with gentle heart and hand. Here in this place, in this time without belief, keep the channels open to each other's grief. Never accept that death or life is strange to its essence, but at each second be aware how God is moving away through every flower, from birth to death in a multiple gesture of abnegation, and when the petals fall, say it is beautiful and good, say it is well. Let us be gentle to each other in our brief time, for we shall die in exile far from home, where even the flowers can no longer save, only the living can be healed by love. Yes, Sarton has it right. Only the living can be healed by love. Only when we are brave and beautiful enough to stand by one another in simple human compassion and faithfulness are we saved from life's negation and despair. Now please let there be no illusions about what I am suggesting to you this morning. I believe passionately that the simple gift of ourselves is the greatest gift that can be given to someone else in pain. And I further believe that in such encounters, some of life's deepest holiness and meaning reveals itself. But I am not saying these encounters will ever be easy, comfortable, pleasant, or fun. Even when we are freely and nobly giving of ourselves, it still hurts to see others in bondage to pain. And we will still often feel so helpless, so angry, so inadequate, and alone. What's more, we will always have to choke back the natural human fear that rises in the throat whenever we draw close to pain, death, and the vivid reminders of our own mortality. We'll always have to fight the temptation to flee. I'm sure that even those exceptionally brave individuals in our congregation who are voluntarily giving so much time to hospice programs in our area, even they who seek out this tough human work must have their moments of extreme discomfort and fear. No one should ever suggest that to attend someone in their Gethsemane of pain is fashionable or fun. It's always tough. To stay awake through the long night of someone else's sorrow and pain is the most difficult of all human wakings. But I believe Norman Cousins is right on target when he writes, "Death is not the enemy, living in constant fear of it is. The way we choose to live in the depth of our feelings, our ability to love and be loved and to take in all the colors of the world around us, these determine the worth and true extent of whatever time we have. The clock keeps ticking away. Our job is to put as much meaning as possible into the intervals between the ticks. A minute can open up out into a vast realm in which all our senses, finely attuned, can come into full and splendid play, or those same senses can be shut down, imparting nothing to our years except numbers. Yes, dear friends, if our years are to be something more than numbers, we must control our fear of suffering, disease, and death, and not be afraid, when these realities draw near, to offer others the simple gift of ourselves. I know many of you will find it hard to believe, for ours is a technocratic, death-fearing culture which always seeks to quick fix their suffering. But you are the answer, by God. Your presence is what saves and redeems. We do not yet trust the power and beauty and worth of our faithful presence with people in pain. We still look for the slick answers, the miraculous solutions, the technological salvations. Every once in a while, one of these miracles occurs, but in the meantime, we fragile, fearful folks are the only Savior sent. More than 3,000 years ago, the psalmist cried out for each man and woman to be a candle of the Lord, shining into the uttermost dark. I believe this is theologically sound as anything ever written. I pray this morning that you will both trust and use that high and holy light which glimmers in unquenchable brightness and power within you. Please don't doubt the healing warmth of your ordinary, expansive heart. When someone you know is hurting, be there. Just be there. Give them the gift of staying awake through the long night in the garden. Stand the faithful night watch. Keep the everyday light and love flowing from your hands and heart. For your precious human presence is holy, and it is enough, and by God it will see us through. That's it.
Thank you, that was very nice. Our closing hymn is number 396, I Know This Rose Will Open, from the gray hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 396, I Know the Rose Will Open.
I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Namaste, Amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Mari, for sharing your valuable time and the reading with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. We will have 10 to 15 minutes for discussion following the service for those who wish to share your thoughts and observations on today's topic. Please be aware that this will be included on the video that is posted. For the rest of you, you're welcome to adjourn to the parish hall. Would anyone like to come up and share their thoughts Is there anyone online who would like to share anything with us? Okay.
I enjoyed this talk. There was a great deal of meat to it, and so I had trouble keeping up with how much there was. The idea of staying up, the vigil, when I had to play God with my little doggy, had to take him in and have him put to sleep. And when I was leaving with the bundle, because they wrapped it up in a blanket so I could take him back to where I am, this person who had ushered me in, who was the receptionist, who I didn't know, hadn't seen before, and since I never went back, never saw again. She followed me out, gave me a hug, said she was sorry, and then she sent a card, or somebody sent a card. So that simple act you can see from a total stranger, I still remember it to this very day. So what my dad told me long ago was, whatever you do during this time, when you are burying a dog, or people, either way, he said, you'll never get it right, but of course, to try to do something. I remember he had this really good friend, and we went to see him. He was, I think, pretty much comatose. And my dad had been told, maybe by a doctor or someone, that the last sense to go are the ears. And so the guy looked pretty much gone. I thought, I was a child then. I thought, why are we even here? And my dad said to me, be careful what you say around Ern. And after a while, he said, just like he always did, well, little Ernest, we'll be stepping out for a little while, but we'll be back a bit later to see you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Hi. So I really liked what was said. Last month, I actually lost my great-grandma. She was the last great-grandparent that I had. So it was very difficult because she was sick for a while, and so it was very tough to see her that way, to visit her, but obviously it was very important. When I found out that she had passed, I was at work, and I didn't realize. I just took a moment to step outside and answer my mom's call. And so when I found out, I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of walked back into the classroom and went on with my day. And even though obviously, my students didn't know what was going on, just the simple act of them, wanting to hold my hand going down the hallway, or, making me a drawing, just made me feel a lot better, that simple act of connection, and they had no idea what that did. So thank you.
Thank you. Just be grateful that you got to know your great-grandmother. I only knew one of mine. She passed away at the age of 96. I was 30 at the time. Come on up. Oh, okay.
Hello. I always come late, so I missed the main part of this, but I think I'm getting the gist of what an important message this was. So I'm going to share something with you, and you may be familiar with this, that we all are connected much more than we might think. It happened that some strange things have occurred in this last few days. I have a friend and her husband who were traveling outside of the country, and they happen to have a last name that might mean they wouldn't be let back in, even though they have been here as citizens their entire life. But still, I was worried about them, and they were coming home from a big flight, and they were supposed to enter last Wednesday evening. They were coming back in, and I thought, oh, what's going to happen? Will they get back through? Now, this is the story, and this is the spin of what can happen that you're not expecting, and how connecting with people sometimes can happen in very unfortunate ways, but possibly reconnect as well. My friend, I used to work with her many years ago. I was involved with ELL, English Language Learners, and this lovely lady and myself worked at the same school. We've stayed connected enough that we're still friends, which is lovely, but her life has gone on, and she has a large family, of whom she has one son and one daughter. But I'm going to say she had one son, because if you follow the news, you might have noticed they said a highway patrol officer was killed in Culver City in the wee hours of the morning. He was transporting someone who had had drug issue and DUI, and he and his partner, and he was the driver, crashed. It seems he had a heart attack. Something got him. It wasn't bad driving, but still he died on the spot. Ironically, when someone dies, the highway patrol will try to reach out to the family. In this case, the lady I was so worried about, who was coming back with her husband, trying to get back into the country, I was thinking, oh, that's going to be her problem. That wasn't her big problem. Her problem occurred when she lost her son the night her plane had landed, and she was getting her luggage off of the turnstile at LAX. She was notified there her son had died. Now, I have not been in contact with another lady we used to work with for a long time. In fact, she had disconnected completely from us, but she calls me at about 12:30 in the morning and says, "Did you hear what happened to?" His name was Miguel Cano. Miguel Cano was that highway patrol young man, 2 years into the service, who died in his job doing his duty, and she was notified of his death, the mother, when she was getting her luggage off of the turnstile at LAX by the highway patrol. Now, this is a very tragic thing because they were coming back for their granddaughter's birthday, which happened to be that day, or late, it was going to be later that day. So she lost her son. Her granddaughter has no uncle in this case, and she also got this news of heartbreak, which activated reach out of people who heard of it to reach out to other people. Now, this is a big, long story, simply to say life happens in very strange ways when we don't expect it. It does remind us how connected we all are and how something tragic can reactivate connection with others. I now have reconnected in a sad way because, you see, my friend's birthday is today. The lady I knew who lost her son, her birthday is today. Now, what can we do in a situation like that? We really don't have the words. How can we help the grief and heartbreak other than say to those folks, if you need us, we're here to help you. We really, really want you to know how much we care, and if we can help anyway, let us know. Well, in this case, that's what I'll be doing. And at the same time, that's what this church does for the community. It reaches out. The people here, small as they may be in number, are very strong in their dedication to trying to make a difference. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you can to make a difference, not just here, but in the world outside, which is very turbulent right now. It may not be that you're in a position where you're going to be worried about getting back into a country or being taken away from it. It may not be that you're losing someone accidentally, but no matter what, we have this long journey, or short, on this life. And as we look back at each day, I hope we can find that we were able to share something important to someone else and try to empathize and understand the whole picture. That's my story. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I've never had children, but I can't imagine anything more tragic than losing one's child. Grace.
Thank you, Mari, for that reading. This service reminded me of something. Sorry? Oh, okay. So this service reminded me of something that someone in this church once told me. She said that nurses during World War II, when they were giving the final nursing task to a dying soldier, would put on pink lipstick so that the last impression that the soldier had before he had to go was something beautiful.
Well, apparently we start at 9 when summer begins. So when I came in and you guys are almost finishing, I was very sad. But thankfully, I have a good friend, Grace, and she told me a little bit about what you guys were talking about today. And I'm thankful for a church that is brave enough to approach these subjects. I grew up in a conservative Christian church, and we didn't really talk about these practical things. And I found that very difficult growing up because I was surrounded with death my whole life. I almost died when I was 4. My mom almost died when I was 6, and she was in and out of the hospital for her entire life. I was a junior volunteer at the Riverside Fire Department and saw my first dead body when I was 16 and a half. Then 6 months later saw another one and a fourth. Riverside is much different now than what it was. And I didn't know how to handle any of these things. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, who I was supposed to, what was appropriate. And that's very unsettling. In my experience, that was very unsettling. So I'm thankful that I can have a church like this, community, people who are honest and open, where I can feel connected both to my higher power and to each other. I can pass on growth and love and wisdom to my son, something that I wasn't given. I'm not saying people were good or bad, but maybe they didn't have the ability to. And I'm thankful that my higher power has given me you guys and the wisdom to connect with people when they are in bad places or passing away, and connect with others who are still here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else or anyone online? And don't feel alone, you weren't the only one who didn't know about the time change. It happens every year. And I got here at 9 o'clock and there wasn't anybody here except Adam and Kate and Robert. Okay. Okay.
I actually worked with a lot of hospice patients in my former career. Witnessed a lot of death and dying in my life as well. I was going to talk about someone very close to me who passed away, and how God sent me to be by his bedside 10 minutes before he passed away. But instead, I think I could maybe offer some practical advice of ways you can be present, because it is very difficult to understand exactly what you can do for someone in the grieving process or in their sickness. Practical things. Pretty much, we tend to do it after funerals where you have a potluck or you bring food to the person for a while. But really what tends to help people the most would be taking over the ordinary chores that they would forget to do so their life doesn't get off track. Because a lot of times in the grieving process, you forget to pay bills, you forget to feed and water your plants, you forget to go grocery shopping, you just sit and you grieve. In Judaism, it's called sitting Shiva. So what people in the community can do when someone does that, when someone needs things like that, is, can I pay this bill for you this month? Can I walk your dog for you? Can I bring you meals for today? When they can say, I have a friend who can do this for you, or if they notice something that they actually practically need, to first ask if they want it, because sometimes they don't, and then to just do it for them. And other than that, just sit with them, listen to their stories, tell them things that you remember about their loved one, because the thing that people need the most is to feel valued and to know that their loved ones were valued as well. So even if you didn't know them that much, you can comment on how much you can tell that person was loved by their loved ones. So that is practical ways to let your divine spark speak to theirs.
Thank you. And regarding the earlier service time, my feeling has always been that we lose more people because of it than we would if we had it at 10 o'clock when it's somewhat warmer. But I couldn't convince the board of that when I was on the board. I'm no longer on the board. But if you have an opinion one way or the other, please let your board members know, because this is your church. Anybody else have anything they want to comment on here? Or anybody online? Use your hand-raising function. Okay, and if there are no further comments, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and now please join us in the parish hall for further fellowship.